Oh, and we're live! All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to this week's Freedom-Preneur Show, guys. This is a place where entrepreneurs come to learn and grow. My name is Rhonda Swan, the Unstoppable Mama. If you haven't seen me before, well, you're going to get used to it because you'll see me here every week, every Wednesday at 9 o'clock. We bring this show together for a powerful reason. One is because I want to create a safe place for entrepreneurs, whether you work online or not, to start learning and thinking of different ways that you can become a freedompreneur. You know, the way our family likes to run our life is truly being able to live free. Now, we've been traveling the world now for 8 years. I actually retired myself and my husband Brian from a corporate position. I was in pharmaceuticals. He was an engineer living in San Diego. And one day I went, this is not cool. I don't want to do this anymore. And I watched an interview of Steve Jobs. It said, if you're not going on the internet or you're not figuring out a way to build and make money on the internet, you're going to miss out. And everyone around me at that time, that was in like, when was that? 2004, pretty much, about 2004. They're like, yeah, that's all a bunch of crap. That's a bunch of garbage. That's a bunch of scams, right? So I tell all my corporate executive friends, I'm quitting my job. I just retired myself from my corporate position. And they all went, yeah, right. We'll see you go back to your job in 3 months. And that's exactly what my boss said. She said, I'll hold your position, Rhonda, because you're making multiple six figures here in this pharmaceutical job, and you've got all these great things. And I said, no, I'm not going to be back. So sometimes, guys, you know, that power of disbelief fuels you to make things happen. But more importantly, it fueled me, guys, to take my life under control and to have the ability to never put my daughter, Hanalei, in daycare. She wasn't even born yet. But that was my vision. That was my value. So what we decided to do, guys, is start traveling around the world. I retired Brian from being an engineer. And we've been doing this full time, working online. And our mission is to inspire and to encourage more families to travel so their children can not live through a textbook, but so that they can live through the eyes of real culture, right? And to really learn what the world's about, because it's a small, small world, my friends. And if we can learn that and show our kids how to explore and to respect cultures from around the world, and then teach them how to be an entrepreneur, sovereign, and a freedompreneur, meaning that you take your life, your income in your own hands, and you're not dictated by, I like to call it dangling carrot. If you're in a job, I'm not insulting you, I'm just speaking the truth. I was living the dangled carrot lifestyle, guys, for, you know, yikes. Well, that's interesting. So that sometimes happens when you live in Bali, Indonesia. Oh, man. Our big vase just broke behind us. Well, there you go. See, now we've got my daughter here. This is the cool part about actually being a freedompreneur. I have to reveal everything. You guys get to see this today because we don't always show this. So my daughter Hanale's way. It's like, there's my husband Brian Swano, if you know Swano. Hanale, don't go over there. See that? That's what broke. That was a vase. And my daughter Hanale's got parasites. She's home from school today, and I know it sounds kind of gross. So I actually have to pre-frame everyone what that means. When you're traveling around the world, Hanale, say hi to everyone. Say hi to the world. She's a little gray. She doesn't have a little tan as much as she does. She's got some buggies in her belly, and they're making her feel yucky. They hurt so bad. We're going to put her in the room, and we'll come in and rub her tummy. And that was the blessing. So, guys, this is a real live show, as you can tell. Real stuff happened around here. We don't stage it. Hi, baby. The wind, but I have a big, huge window in front of me, and the wind started to blow, and it blew that vase off. I do have a guest, by the way, today. I'm just diverting a bit. Tanya, you're holding tight. I'll get you there in a minute, girl, because I know you got kiddos. You know how it works. But, guys, this is what happens. You know, we travel around the world, and Hanale we all got parasites, because that's kind of what happens. Little amoebas, little protozoa that get you in your body. And if your immunities go down, sometimes they can take over. Your white blood cell count can't grab them and eat them up. And what happens? You get a little funky. Your belly gets messed up. But that's actually what happens when you travel the world. You eat crazy foods in the street. You drink some water that might be funky. But it makes you stronger. It makes you stronger. So what I love the most about being a freedompreneur is that Hanale was down and out yesterday, and we all sat in our pink room, and we all had our computers. She was able to rest. We all sat together, and we worked together. And to me, guys, that is freedom. So whatever freedom may mean to you as a freedompreneur, it might just mean making a couple extra bucks that you call your freedom account, right? Or it could be you being able to travel, or maybe it's leave a job because you do want to be home with your kids. Whatever it may be, guys, we want to help you get there and show you and inspire you, and we bring amazing people every single week that have nothing to gain, only to give. Because as a freedompreneur world, we live in a world of a lot of takers. A lot of people are taking, just like the corporate does to you. They want to get everything you got, and they really don't want to compensate you for it. But we're all about giving more so that you can then begin and be able to stand on your own 2 feet. So that's the objective is of this call, and to inspire you that great things are around the world, great people are here to share and give, and what better place to do it than in a cool community called the Freedompreneur community. So again, welcome. And if you guys haven't joined our private Facebook group, you're welcome to do that on this page. It's a really cool, it's totally open, nothing's sold in there, right? We've got some cool stuff that we do. We do workshops. We have an academy that we have that actually walks you through the steps of actually becoming a freedompreneur if you like. But it's all up to you. Our community is there to give and help each other and to serve. And so that brings me to a perfect place of transition, which is into my inviting my guest host to come out today, Tanya Patxot. There we go, Tanya. Did it again. Patxot. She's got it. The spelling is so crazy that I'm like, my tongue gets twisted every time I try to say her last name. If you guys were on the show last week, I did the same thing. I'm like, but she's got a cool last name. Patxot is her last name. And Tanya's actually a Freedompreneur tribe member. We've got a tribe here. We don't call them, team members. We're a tribe because we all come together to help. Right? And tribes do cool things. I'm American Indian, and my family was really we lived in a tribal style way where you had all your family around and your neighbors. Everyone was there to help each other. And I truly believe that inside of each other, we all were really meant to live off of each other and to help each other. I think that's what humanity's about. And we forget that when we start getting locked into our day-to-day. We get locked into, going to our job, and it's all about us. We get really selfish, And so it's great to be in an environment of people that want to help each other and share. So I wanted to have Tanya out here today because she's just an amazing woman. She's known as the Truthpreneur, has actually been a serial entrepreneur for over 15 years. She's a coach. She does some really great things for entrepreneurs, helps you become a lot more productive, and creates clarity in our mindset. And I think that's something huge, and that's really why I wanted to have Tanya out, because inside the group, Tanya, like last week or a couple weeks ago, you're like, guys, what kind of help what areas do you need help in? Marketing, clarity, productivity, and you had some great perspectives. I know you've got a new book that's either just coming out or just came out that we want to talk about too, but I want to learn a bit about your entrepreneurial journey and then how our followers can really tap into some of the knowledge you've got. She's got a free giveaway today that you guys get access to, and I love to bring out our tribe members because I have I'm going to be sharing some more of this for you guys later, but I've got like this path that I see for our tribe members and what a freedompreneur should be. It should like come in the door unknowing anything, and they start learning, building. Maybe you might work with another company as affiliate because that's an option, or you might create your own stuff. You might have a blog, but then I just want to say, get out. Get on your own and create your own stuff. It's almost like kicking them out of the door, but then they come back and they come to serve. And it's like the ultimate mama way to let the birdies go, I never like anyone to leave, but I love to see everyone grow. And so, Tanya, I want you to come out here. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the tribe. And share a little bit about, I know you've got 3 bubs at home. You got 3 kiddos and a doggy, a bull, and a man. You got is it a pit bull or a bulldog? What was your dog?
A pit bull.
A pit bull. All right. So she's got a full family. And here you entrepreneurs and being a great mom in the process. So come out here, girl. Welcome to the show.
What's going on? Here you go.
I love it. So how is the weather at your home right now?
I am buried in snow right now, and a little jealous.
I know I'm sweaty, and usually I'm caking on some makeup when I get on these shows because I'm so sticky. Yesterday I did a video and I was on my motorbike. I'm all dressed up because I had to film, and I'm like on my motorbike with all this makeup so I didn't, drip everywhere. I'm like, oh, this is a disaster. If people really knew what the Freedom-Preneur lifestyle was like living in the tropics, they would punch me in the face, but because they are like, yeah, whatever. We're buried in snow.
Yes, and I have like long sleeves on, and you're like all relaxed. I was telling Brian earlier, I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Look at what I look like.
I love it. Well, would you mind sharing with everyone, Tanya, your entrepreneurial journey, how you started, and maybe a couple of the difficulties you may have gone through, especially with having a family? Because I know a lot of our followers are women. A lot of them are women. Of course, there's mostly families. We've got a lot of travelers that are either looking to take the leap, they've already done it, and we want to share some inspirational stories and then teach them a little bit of something too.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's always fun. So my journey's been an interesting one. I can remember as a little girl, I always loved to play with Barbie dolls, and I always played the entrepreneur. Like I was always talking and teaching and all that good stuff. But society teaches you, and conditions you how to live. And so I thought I needed this house, husband with a suit, white picket fence, right? And I got like a husband that's like has paint and dirt because he's an airbrush artist, with not a picket fence, a pit bull, which is like supposedly dangerous, right? And so I had like the total opposite. And I corporate America, all that great stuff. And I got my education. They told me I needed to get my degrees. I followed. I did exactly what they said. But all the meanwhile, I had that like dying, that dying feeling inside where I'm like, I just don't feel like I'm worth much because I'm too scared to jump out. But at the same time, I knew I wasn't living what I really felt like I was called to. Like, I know God created me for a reason, but I'm like, it can't be working corporate America. I wasn't conditioned, right? So unfortunately, what ended up happening was, I was pregnant we just bought our house. I was pregnant with my daughter and kissed my husband, went off to church, and a couple hours later, when I got home, I got the knock on the door, and the police were like, boom, boom, boom. And I said, where's my husband? That's all I could say was, where is my husband? Where is my husband? And I was screaming, where is my husband? And they're like, ma'am, can you come in? And I'm like, no, I want my husband. Where is he at? And I just felt, like that pit in your stomach where something is wrong. Yeah. So I had been dabbling a little bit before then, like, a little bit of, selling little products here and there, affiliate little stuff, but just tasting, never really believing that I could do anything, but just kind of dabbling because I wanted something more. Well, at that day, when they sat on my couch and told me my husband was murdered in a hit-and-run motorcycle accident on our 10th year anniversary, I had just been able to tell him hours before that I was pregnant with our daughter. So at that moment, it was rough. It was rough. And I said, and this is the thing that really got me and why I began to live, was because a week before he passed away, he told me, I want to begin living. And he worked at Staples, and he was management, pretty good job, and it was like, okay. So, the average 60, 70,000 a year. And he said, I want to go do motorcycles and I want to start my own business. And I said, let's do it. And right before, it's like that moment when you say, I'm going to do something, and then it gets snatched right away from you. And I said, okay, I can't do that. Well, later on, long story short, later on, I needed some extra time, to deal with everything after my daughter was born. I listened to everything corporate America said. They laid me off and said, I'm not going to give you any more time. You either do what you need to do. And so that Monday I was supposed to go to work, and they sent me home a letter after 5 years and said I was fired with a newborn baby, a grieving 4-year-old. And I tried to figure out, what am I going to do now? And I said, you know what? I'm going to, in other words, balls to the wall, right? So I did it. And I said, I'm done. I will never, ever, ever work for anybody ever again, and I will never have anybody control. So I started my journey as a photographer because I loved photography, graphic design, and at that point I had no idea, I had no pictures. I had no pictures. I didn't have any pictures of my husband really and family, and so I had a mission. I had a mission to start off helping people remember their memories and remember those moments. And so that started it. That's why my little tagline is always follow your passion because it's the pathway to your destiny. I would have never thought I would have been coaching right now, starting from photography. So that was my short journey. Felt long, but my journey.
Wow, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that about you. I didn't know that. Isn't it amazing? Let me make sure that, you know, sweetie, if you could mute, yeah, there you go. Something seems we were getting a little bit of a reverb, but it could be for something else we have. I didn't know that, but you know, it's really crazy how the universe or God, you know, whatever your beliefs are, really throws you something, and it shifts the whole pattern of our life. And it's up to us to really look at, you know, what that golden lesson may have been. And you know, it's interesting. A friend of mine shared this with me, and I want to share it with you because I always ask those questions when things are at probably one of the worst times ever. You feel you're like, gosh, how could this possibly happen? And you always have to think there's a reason behind it, and maybe that person that was in your life had just something to complete at that up until that moment, and then they were free, right? And that was the only way that I've been able to ever accept a situation like that, especially when it's children or parents or whatever it may be. And then you know, you start to look at it and say, wow, everything that's ever has happened to us has led us into the right path. And I'm inspired by you because that's powerful to think. I mean, you're a true testament to, truly following your passions and not getting in the way, because you could have easily sunk down and said, okay, I'm going to put all my kids in daycare and I'm just going to get a job, because that's easy to do. And how did you transfer from, you know, it was like that control thing, because they took advantage of you. So it was actually a blessing that your job did fire you.
Yeah, you know, it was, but you know, even it would have just been maybe a little bit of security, I guess you could say, over that time, over that process. But what the death and everything essentially did is I actually allowed it to ignite something within me. And I think a lot of times when we go through a lot of situations, we don't allow those situations to activate that thing in us. We suppress it, and we don't embrace even like the fears or the negative thoughts, and really embrace those things and realize, like what you said, you know, everything happens for a reason and for a season. And so, you know, it was one of those things where I said, actually, it took away every excuse that I had in the book to not follow what I had. And I didn't even have the full blueprint. I didn't know the full blueprint. But I said, I'm willing to fail along the way, you know?
That's powerful. So then you stepped into then teaching people how to, well, you started with photography, then you started coaching. Now, so where are you at now? What are you doing now to really serve the world and take and ignite your passions and keep sharing it with the world?
Yeah. Well, you know, actually a couple years ago, I sat down for breakfast with one lady, and it turned into 150 entrepreneurs in my local community. Once that happened, you know, that thought process of the photography was not really what I wanted to do anymore, because it was just that transition. So I figured, okay, I got to get online, right, to be able to scale and leverage. And so I started blogging, and obviously, you know, started figuring all these other different, you know, how to social media and marketing and everything. And then realized that every time I spoke to somebody, I always brought them some type of clarity, productivity, understanding. Whether it was with social media, blogging, branding, it didn't matter. It was just a different clarity. And so it allowed them to be able to tackle and strategize better. And so I began now opening up group coaching and personal coaching to help individuals either, one, get a clarity, like a simple clarity call, coach them through the process of whatever they're trying to launch or however, or at the same time, just give accountability. So if they have a certain goal they have to reach, I then put even down to the minute, to the second, of how many hours can they work on their vision a day, and what income producing activities do they need to accomplish within those time frames, and then I hold them accountable to those actions. So that's exactly what I do now.
think so many people need, it's just even the accountability part that some people just, it's lonely in this online world sometimes. And when you have, it is. Here I am in my office. I got Brian, I got, Todd here. We all work together, but it's like, you got to get yourself in motion and hold yourself accountable. It's really kind of cool. This last week when you put your post up about clarity and productivity, I'm like, okay, cool. So then we got another girl, Ezra, in the group who's like, guys, I am taking charge. Let's be accountable for each other. And now we got a DMO, kind of process up there. What really, how do you schedule your day? Because you always got to go with what's making you the most money, right? You can work on our passions forever, but sometimes like, okay, what are the income producing activities? How do we structure that so we still have time for our passions? We still have time for our kids. We still have time, because I'm the worst. There's times where I'm like, my butt will be anchored in and I'm just all into it. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm either building and recording and preparing for stuff, and I'm like, dang, I've been building stuff, but I haven't done any income producing activities yet, or I haven't been with my kids yet, or, my daughter yet. So, but it's good to get yourself accountable, and I think that's a powerful structure to really help people with. Do you have a name of your coaching program? Do you have a certain name that they can kind of peep at you or look for you in a different space, on a blog?
Yeah. You can actually just go to TanyaPatxot.com.
Will you spell that last name, sister?
It's TANYA. PAT as in Tom, XOT.com, and that actually has all of my blog, my social media, and everything into it. And the whole goal, honestly, is to eliminate overwhelm, right? Because we can buy all these products and programs, but if you don't know how to implement them and use them for your business, it becomes a little difficult. So.
Absolutely, and you have like 5 stages or 5 steps to creating or increasing your productivity. Is that something I saw you sneaking out a video about about the call?
Sneaking? I guess you can't sneak on Facebook, right?
No way. You want to share those tips with everyone?
Yeah. So I have the 4 stages of entrepreneurship, right? Or you can use these, because you're going to reuse them all the time, right? They're ever cycling. Okay, so whether you're doing a product launch or anything like that. So, and then I'm going to give you just a couple questions to ask yourself. So definitely keep watching this replay, but ask just a couple of questions to ask yourself at each stage. Okay, so that way you can get that clarity. So the first one that you're going to look at is, it's your dream stage, and that dream stage is your unconscious incompetence. Okay, that means that you have a dream or you have a desire to do something, but you don't know that you don't know something. Right? You just know that you want to do something. That's it. So the question that you're going to ask yourself is, what do you want? And that's a hard question for some people, because they don't feel like they deserve something, and so they kind of, instead of what they want, they kind of put whatever society has put on them that they want. And so it really becomes, that freedom-preneur word. Well, it's freedom, break the chains, and what do you really want? What is the outcome that you want to achieve, right? The destiny, that outcome. So for instance, if I wanted to be, if I wanted to create a legacy, how am I going to create a legacy? Well, I'm going to create a legacy through coaching. I'm going to create a legacy through authoring, online programs. That is going to be my navigation. So if any opportunities come to me that don't line up with that opportunity, with that legacy or that end result, then the answer is no, right? That's a hard thing for people. The answer is no if it doesn't line up. So I love it because I have a gauge. So if somebody asks me for an interview or anything, and if it doesn't line up, I can easily just say no, I'm sorry. The next question is, why do you want it? What purpose is it going to serve for the greater vision, whether you're doing a product or it's the end vision? And then the biggest thing of all, you got to count the cost and then ask yourself, are you willing to commit to the cost? Because it's a long process. And I'm not saying that you're not going to have those many successes along the way, right? But whenever you have a dream, you always count the cost. There's that proverb that says count the cost. And it's so important. So many people don't count the cost. And so they get overwhelmed, and then they think that they're failing when all it is the process. Did you want to say something, Rhonda?
Yeah. I do, because I'm like, this is such a big deal. Everyone needs to get that, because, and what are the costs? It's even like break down what the costs are. The costs are sometimes, guys, the time and effort. Just what are the costs it's going to take? Sometimes you have to say, okay, I'm willing to take these next 90 days or even 12 months. Because I'll be honest, in the beginning, I didn't necessarily weigh out the cost, but I was willing to do whatever it took. So for me, the cost didn't matter, and that meant for me almost 18-hour days, because I was working a job, I was learning during my lunch hours, and then at night I was calling prospects and learning marketing. So my costs were time at that point. I'm like, I got to put the time in, and to make sure, and I had to invest, right? So costs are also an investment. Costs are time, and they're also, you got to go through the process. And I think that it's important for all entrepreneurs to understand that just understanding what your costs are. And sometimes you're going to give up things. You might be giving up your Friday night, going out at night, right?
Yeah.
To build the thing, or in whatever it may be. Or it could be in the beginning, and this is just complete truth to some people. Sometimes it's okay, kids, I'm doing this, and just because I may take on an extra hour during the week or an extra hour during the day, can we please all commit knowing that mommy's committing to do this because I'm doing it for our well-being? And I think that's sometimes really hard for women, especially because those costs aren't something that we're programmed to give up, but they're necessary at times. Even with Hanalei, I'm still working, so she understands, because we communicate. Listen, in order for us to live this life, mom's here with you. She's not well today, I'm here with her, but I still need to get these calls done, or these are things that we do to serve not only the world, but to also keep our family, living this way. And I think that's an important conversation for not only parents, but to understand what those costs are related to as well, and it's not always monetarily.
Yes, honestly, the cost personally is greater than even monetarily. And so that's something that's really, I know a lot of people want to grow, but even when you're doing a program or something like that, count the cost to that program and say, am I willing to implement and take the time? I know how many times it says, okay, do this productivity tip, and you don't write it down. But there's a method to the madness, right? And so, this is something that people don't realize. Just to be productive can save you hours upon hours, at minimal 4 to 8 hours, even in a week time frame, just from being productive. So there's a big counting the cost. That's why I said you can use these stages in anything that you're looking at. So stage two is your distress stage. Okay, stage 2 is your conscious incompetence. Right? That is the stage where you know that you don't know something. And that is a pride thing, an ego thing, an ouch thing, whatever you want to call it. It's what it is, okay? So I made it a little distress thing, So, and then what I want you to ask yourself is this. What is your current situation, right? And, this is kind of, what you do and do not know. So evaluate your current situation. Right? And lay it out on the table. You got to write it down. When you write things down and you make things plain, it really gets ingrained in you, because you're thinking, you're hearing, you're seeing, you're experiencing, and that's the purpose of a lot of the writing those things down. Then the next thing you're going to want to look at, what are the 3 fundamental things that you need to master, right? Because you don't need to master everything. Now, I will recommend that you do learn your blogging, your social media, your funnels. Why? Because you need to, if you're going to even contract somebody out, you need to know these things enough to have an educated conversation, enough to understand how things function in a business. And the other thing is, eventually, so many individuals I know become coaches at the end and never would have thought it. And so, you prepare. And so you want to just focus on, after you figure out what you don't know, is it pertinent to that situation at that point in time, right? Do you have to know it right then and there, or do you need to know something else before you learn that other task, right? Because we can find ourselves working on, let's just say, social media or something different, and find out we are not even branded, let alone we want to launch a product. And so we don't build the like, know, and trust factor. So people jump too far ahead, right? And so the other question you want to ask yourself is, what are the resources and relationships to get what you want, or to get where you're going, right? And under those, you want to say, what can you do? What can't you do? And who will you learn from? And so I wanted to really point this one out, right? So one, community is very, very huge, very, very huge. And a lot of individuals, they don't want to show that they're at the beginning stages or however. Let me just break it down to you. You're always at a beginning stage. At some point, after 15 years, I'm still learning new things, right? And so just get rid of that mentality or you're not going to grow the way that you need to grow. And so the other thing is, when I first started, I wanted to follow a gobillion people. I got on everybody's list, and it was a smorgasbord. And you know what I realized? I still had that face, and I had the consumer mindset. See, when we are out in the corporate world, we have that consumer mindset. We still buy off of pain or gain. There's only two reasons why we purchase. And so what happens is I realized that I was still in a consumer mindset where I was in a consumption and I had to consume everything. That's not correct, right? So you're going to get the things that you want and you're going to follow 3 people maybe in those different niches, and you're going to follow them until you can't follow them anymore. You're going to get all their courses. You're going to Facebook them. You're going to tweet their stuff, get on all their free webinars, get all their free ebooks. That's what I did with Rhonda. Like, I got all her stuff. I'm sitting there, purchasing this, getting on the team, constantly active in her Facebook group. I got her attention. I'm constantly giving value. I don't ask anybody for coaching. I just pour with nothing in return. And so that is something that I did, and it stops overwhelm. Stop following so many people. Just follow the expert that you want to follow in that area, and they don't have to be 6-7 figure income earners, high ranking, where they're not tangible. You can get people that are on their way up, which are actually really awesome too, because you get to then tag team and build with them. So did you want to say anything after that?
Yeah, because that's a really big piece of advice, and that's actually how I developed and grew so much, is because I came in and I was just following everyone. I was like, whoa, I was so bombarded and following everyone's message, and I found that I wasn't being myself either. And I started following so many people that I started now compromising my values and what my brand really wanted to represent. And then I realized, whoa, unsubscribe, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Buy one course, follow one course until successful, focus, buy one course and follow that one until successful, right? Yeah. And then what I started to do also is get an accountability partner, and then working with other people that were still on the similar levels, and if they had some knowledge that I didn't have, we were like both lifting each other up, because I never want to be the smartest person in the room. That's why I absolutely love our tribe, because I keep very smart people around me. I'll be the first to say, I only know what I know. I know a little about a lot, and I know a lot about a couple things. But when we have so many great people around us, then we just grow so quickly. And that's a big piece of advice, though, for everyone, especially brand new entrepreneurs, especially working online. You start, poking around in other people's blogs, because that's where you'll learn a lot. But then you keep getting their emails, and then you become that consumer mindset. You're like, oh, maybe I should get this. Oh, maybe I should get this. Yes. And then there's no focus whatsoever. I actually have to turn off all of my notifications. If I turn off all notifications, I can get a power hour done. I get 4 hours of work done in 1 hour. I mean, I was cranking out videos, yesterday. I'm recording. I had no bother. And I was like, man, I just created a whole product in 1 hour. But it's powerful. It's a powerful piece of advice for any new entrepreneur. I absolutely love that piece of advice.
Yes. And connecting with relationships, the other good thing is, you create a product, you don't have a whatever. Hey, would you like to, join with me? Maybe do an affiliate. Would you like to maybe teach this course? I'll give you 300 or 20% or whatever. And you start working and leveraging one another's gifts.
That's right.
And it's really, really awesome. So, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead. No, you're good.
I'm like,
mute up because the dog starts to bark.
Oh, okay. All right. So then the third stage is your development stage, right? And that is your conscious competence, right? That is that you know how to do something, but you haven't yet mastered it. And this is going to throw some people off. But your question you're going to want to ask yourself is, do I need to master this skill? Because you know what? The truth of the matter is you don't have to master every skill, right? So this is where you start to be able to contract out and to leverage VAs or, being able to just leverage other avenues, right? So, for individuals, you want to be educated enough to be able to handle it and do certain things yourself, even basically. So just in case, you have a fire, something like that, and you're like, okay, how do I put this out? You don't want to have to rely solely on individuals, but you also want to be able to scale up. And a lot of times scaling up there's going to be a lot of things that you're not going to master in order to scale up. You have to be wise. And so that's where we looked at, stage one, that dream, and really saying, okay, the ultimate goal, do I need to master this skill set? If not, I'm going to contract this out and I'm going to scale up one of the other skill sets that I need to master. And this allows us to achieve clarity and productivity because we're not gearing off into something that we don't need to gear off into, right? And so that is huge for individuals, and they have this mindset that I need to know everything. And that's hard to get rid of, but I'm going to encourage you that if you want to scale up, you want to hit those, 5-figure, 10-figure, whatever your goal is, you're going to have to legitimately, realistically take a look at what you need to master and what not needs to master, because you need to know what is your time devoted to and what it is your time not devoted to. Right? So your last stage is going to be the demonstration stage, right? So this is the fun stage. This is the unconscious competence, right? So this is when you know something and you're like, yes, sir, I mastered it, right? Like you have that skill set and it's mastered. You don't even need to think about it. Like what Rhonda said, I bet you we do the same thing. You're like, okay, what's the topic? All right, sweet. You hit play. You don't even have a script. You're just like, blah. And then it's like, man, I killed that, because it's like, it's in you. It's in you. Like, you don't even need to script anything. It's just in you. And so that's the mastery. And so then you're going to ask yourself from there, how can I scale this up even more, right? And then you're going to ask yourself another thing. How can I monetize this skill or product for my service or product or service or anything like that, whatever you're doing. And then, so now you have this clear stage, and then your number 5 is rinse and repeat. So I use this not only to find out the ultimate thing that I wanted in my legacy, that thing, and you have to do it, every 3 to 6 months because you're kind of ever changing, and then you want to use it. Let's just say, launching my book. I had to figure out, what is my true purpose? What am I getting out of this? What's really happening? What do I need in it? And it allowed me to go through this process. And so if you can realize that you're going through these 4 stages consistently, then you can identify where you're at if you're struggling and you're frustrated and you want to cry and you want to let's rip your hair out and you're like, I can't do this, I want to quit. You stop and you say, wait a minute, I'm at distress. Okay, what happens at distress? Let me ask myself my questions. And then you take yourself on and you now follow these steps and you have a resolution. And you realize that it's a part of the process and that there's nothing really wrong with you. You're just going through the process, right? So those were my steps for you, my stages.
It creates clarity, right? It does, but it gives you permission to be in those stages. And I think awareness and clarity is everything. Because if we're like, oh, I'm just in distress mode, then you realize what's going on and I'm getting ready to move into the next phase. And that's, to me, I think really important because and I go through these same exact phases all the time, right? Yeah. It doesn't matter what different level you're learning. We're doing a lot of new things right now. It's like, whoa, I feel like I'm back to brand new again, right? Because no matter what, as long as you're always growing, and that's something, especially as a freedompreneur, you've got to always be growing, and you have to be able to reach out and say, I don't know this, and that's okay. And that's something that's been very good for me, because I'm always the one that's like, I got to figure all this out. And it's like, no, you don't. There's great people around you, and that's really why I like such a great tribe of people. So Tanya, this has been awesome. I know that our tribe, of course, of Freedompreneurs that are avid followers are going to be loving this. This is going to actually go right inside of the academy, and this is going to be turning into a podcast coming up very soon. So we launched the new podcast. So it's your presence, and you've really served, I think, the grander community. And of course, those of you guys are like, wow, this is really cool. I want to be a Freedompreneur too. Well, then certainly you can join us inside of our free Facebook groups where we all leverage. But more importantly, again, share with them exactly how to find you. They can find you, of course, inside of the academy because she's very present in helping and giving up, a lot of her assistance inside of the group. And but where else can they also find you?
You honestly just find me at TanyaPatxot.com. So that's Tanya, Tanya, and it's Patxot, Patxot.com. Of course, my blog, my website is thetruthpreneur.com, but it's always easier just to go to that TanyaPatxot.com. It has all of my social media links, everything, my bio, so it makes it really, really simple to get a hold of me.
I love it. That's perfect. And I know that you're giving away a free gift. It should be popping up on the right-hand side right now. That is your, I believe it's called Behind Social Media. Is that right?
Yes, behind social media are real people.
Right.
I think a lot of people forget that, and so in there I just teach you a little freebie. I teach you just simply how to leverage social media, automate the task and be productive, but yet don't automate the things that really matter, which is the connecting with the people and being present and active. So, a lot of people get overwhelmed with being able to post and be active. So I show you what to automate, what not to automate, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's perfect advice because especially we are in the social world. It's called social for a reason, and I think some people take advantage of social media. That is my office. Facebook is like my place to play. That's where I work. That's where I get to hang out with all my peeps all day. So you got to be got to do certain things every day that allows people to know that you are human, you're approachable, and that not only builds your know, like, and trust, but also builds your credibility, and it positions you in the marketplace as someone that they can rely and trust. And then, guys, it's all she wrote when it comes to when you have something to offer. If you've been given enough value and you're interactive in social media, people are going to want to have what you have to offer, and they're going to follow you and buy your stuff, and then it's called law of reciprocity, right? We all do it together. So, Tanya, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited for all of you guys to not only get access to behind social media so you guys can learn more, but to also learn and follow Tanya on TanyaPatxot.com so you can follow more of what she has to offer, guys. And make sure that you give some noise below, share some comments and questions inside the group. You got anything for Tanya? I know that she's here for you guys. And take a snapshot right now. We'll all pose. Take a snapshot. And post on social media and know how much fun you had this week on the Freedom-Preneur Show. Again, this is a non-sales show. It's pure value, so you can share it with your people and your teams. In fact, we have an internal Facebook group that has their own links that connects to their offers so that they can get credit for anything that's being shared here today, too. So, guys, have a great one, and always be unstoppable! Thanks again, sister. Turn it off for me, but I'm turning it off for myself.